Good evening. On behalf of the commissioners and staff, I'd like to welcome you to the March 15th, 2022 meeting of the City of Roseville Transportation Commission meeting. Will everyone please at this time silence your electronic devices? If you need or would like to follow along with an agenda, they are available at the end of the staff table. If you're at home watching, all meeting documents are available online at the city's website for the Transportation Commission. And if you plan to speak at tonight's meeting, please complete a blue speaker card and return it to the staff table. Now time for roll call. Lainey, can you please call the roll?
Commissioner Lasrica? Here. Commissioner Festerson?
Present.
Commissioner Groff?
Here.
Commissioner Huskins?
Present.
Commissioner Eisenhower is absent. Commissioner Probst?
Here.
Commissioner Radford?
Here.
And Chair Short is absent excused.
Thank you, Lainey. And now for the Pledge of Allegiance. Marilyn, can you please lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Festerson. Public comment is a time for anyone who would like to address the Commission on any transportation-related item that is not on tonight's agenda. Speakers shall restrict their comments to issues that are within the subject jurisdiction of the Transportation Commission and limit their comments to 3 minutes. The Brown Act, with certain exceptions, does not permit the Transportation Commission to discuss or take action on issues that are not listed on the agenda. Also, please state your name for the record. Is there anyone that would like to make public comment? All right. Seeing that, we'll proceed with the first item on the agenda. Item 5.1, approval of last month's minutes from the February 15th meeting. Would anyone like to make a motion and a second to approve the February minutes?
So move, Commissioner Radford.
All right. Commissioner Radford and Huskins have made the motion to approve the minutes. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Thank you. Next item, requests and presentations. Item 6.1, Transportation System Management Program Update. Staff, may we please have your presentation?
Thank you. Good evening, Vice Chair Probst and members of the Commission. My name is Allison Winter, Alternative Transportation Analyst with the City. The purpose of this presentation is to provide an update on the Transportation System Management Program. This report includes an overview of the program and information about the process for updating the TSM Ordinance. The TSM program is established under Chapter 11.33 of the Roseville Municipal Code, also known as the TSM Ordinance. The primary program goals of the TSM program are to improve transportation efficiency, reduce traffic congestion and emissions, and improve air quality. These goals are accomplished by promoting alternative transportation modes such as biking, walking, transit, and ride-sharing, coordinating transportation programs with local and regional agencies, and developing a system to implement the program. The TSM program is implemented by the Alternative Transportation Division, and the focus is on outreach to businesses in Roseville. Information about upcoming developments is reviewed and collected during the planning and building permitting process to guide the installation of support amenities. Then, once a site is built, the TSM program provides resources to the businesses to promote alternatives to driving alone. The TSM program applies to work locations in Roseville with 10 or more employees. Sites with 50 or more employees are required to have a TSM plan that describes the site characteristics and amenities and efforts in place to promote the use of alternative transportation for commuting to and from work. This can include park and ride parking spaces, bike racks, secure bike parking for employees, and clean air and carpool parking spaces. Sites with 50 or more employees are also required to designate a site TSM coordinator that serves as a liaison between the city and tenants and/or employees at the site. This role is important to receive updated information from the city about the TSM program activities. We keep a database of coordinators and reach out to them through the program. This list includes business owners, designated site employees, and/or property managers that manage work sites in Roseville. The TSM Ordinance was first adopted in 1991, and it's been revised 3 times since, in 1997, 1999, and 2016. The purpose of a revision at this time is to coincide with current transportation and air quality goals, including the general plan, and to incorporate the California Green Building Code requirements for bicycle and clean air carpool parking for new buildings, and to streamline the development review process and improve the implementation process for developers, businesses, and the city. The anticipated process for updating the TSM ordinance is outlined in this graph. Step 1 involves the introduction of the topic at various meetings in March, including this meeting, meetings with city staff, and an upcoming meeting with the site TSM coordinators. Stakeholder engagement will occur during Step 2 between April and July, where a draft ordinance revision will be developed to 80%. We will engage the Roseville Chamber of Commerce, the North State building industry for the Placer area, the development and business community, and the Placer County Air Pollution Control District. A completed draft will be made available in late summer and presented at a Transportation Commission meeting prior to the proposed revision going to City Council in the fall. The stakeholder engagement opportunities for the TSM ordinance update include requesting a meeting with us now through June, providing written comments now through adoption, reviewing the 80% draft, which will occur during spring and early summer, and reviewing the full draft in August when presented to this commission. We welcome any feedback on the process. Next, we have TSM program updates. In the fall, we conducted a site TSM coordinator survey to learn about preferred communication methods and gain program feedback. We updated marketing materials to promote a new landing webpage for commuters, and we are planning on reinstating site TSM coordinator meetings this month. And we will be developing a new online TSM toolkit for businesses in Roseville, which will be coming soon. And the toolkit will outline programs and best practices to support alternative transportation. Some highlights from the survey results. The intent of the site TSM coordinator survey was to learn about effective communication strategies. We recognize that working conditions have changed over the past 2 years, so we wanted to update the program to meet the changing needs of our community. We asked site coordinators what strategies are most effective to share information with tenants and employees at their site, and the top response was email, followed by some that still use kiosks and bulletin boards. Based on this feedback, we knew it was important to have marketing materials that can be emailed, but there is also a benefit to print materials such as shared kiosks and bulletin boards. We also asked how site coordinators prefer to receive information from the city. And again, the top response was email. There's also an interest in in-person and virtual meetings, so we plan to continue in-person meetings and adapt by offering virtual TSM coordinator meetings as well. The survey was also used to update our contact database, which currently has about 200 contacts. This is a screenshot of our updated webpage. We've added icons below the main image to make it easier for people to find what they are looking for. The TSM information is provided under the Business Resources tab on the right-hand side. We also created an additional landing page, roseville.ca.us/mycommute. We thought this would better communicate to the public how they can use the site. And to promote the new landing webpage, we created this poster. The idea of this poster is to direct people to the website for the most up-to-date information. People can type in the web address or scan the QR code to be taken to the website where they can access the information they need for their commute. The poster is available on the website in PDF format, so site coordinators can also email the poster to employees and tenants. The goal is to have all businesses with 10 or more employees post this poster in an employee area. We will have print copies available for local businesses for pickup in April. And this is a list of upcoming TSM coordinator meetings. On March 4th, we will have a virtual meeting. This meeting will provide program updates and introduce the TSM Ordinance update. Persons interested in attending can RSVP to the meeting, and a meeting invitation will be emailed out to them. On April 28th, we will have an in-person meeting to kick off May's Bike Month. Coordinators can stop by the office on this date to pick up materials and attend a meet and greet. And in August, we will be having a meeting to prepare for Bike Fest, which will be held in the fall. And between April and June, coordinators have the option to request a meeting with staff to discuss the TSM Ordinance update. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Allison. Excellent job.
Thanks.
I'll now open public comments for this item. Seeing that there is no one from the public wishing to speak on this item, I will now close the public comment period. Commissioners, are there any additional questions for staff or comments at this time?
Thank you for presentation, Allison. I didn't see it at first. I was going to suggest a QR code, but I saw it there. Maybe up on the corner where it's a little more transparent. It's kind of blended in, but I probably don't have my glasses. I don't know. At first I didn't see it. I'm a QR code that take you right to the website. So well done. Thank you.
Allison, just off the top of your head, do you happen to know how many TSM coordinators you have in the city? Approximately.
I believe we have about 100 to 160.
Okay. And all these are going to be potentially on the virtual meeting?
As of right now, we've received 5 responses.
Oh, kidding. Okay. Is there a opportunity, or possibly is it appropriate for maybe 1 or 2 of us to attend that as well? Is there any thought about that?
Yeah, that's possible as long as we don't have a quorum, correct?
Right.
So we
Sorry,
would
so
just
it
want to
works.
know in advance if you're interested so we can make sure that we meter how many of you attend. And then I was just going to follow up on the number of TSM coordinators question. We have, like Allison said, quite a few in our database that get information from us, but I think at the peak of our program, the ones that actively participated, like coming to meetings, was around 20 to 25 typically.
Do you typically anticipate that for this go-around as well? 20 to 25 maybe?
I think it's yet to be seen. We haven't had a meeting in quite a while due to COVID and also staff turnover. So I think we're trying to get those meetings back up and running. So it's really hard for me to understand how many people will actually participate this first go-round.
Okay. Yeah, the reason why I ask about our participation is just kind of in keeping that with Chairman Short's idea of getting the commission a little bit more involved in some of the activities in the city. So, yeah, if we could hear a little bit of information about that possibility, then that would be great.
Yeah, what we can do is send out the link to the meeting, but then if you would let us know who's interested in participating, then we can make sure that we don't have a quorum.
Okay, appreciate it. That's it.
Any other additional questions or comments for staff?
I've got a question. Being as we're putting gold in our cars now, and people are not always able to take the commuter bus, in Washington, D.C., they have a program called the Slug Line, and it would be an alternative for here, where people could register online to be a part of the Slug Line that is going to Sacramento or wherever, and then they ride share. They meet so that they know that it's not some crazy person. But I was thinking, everybody can't take the commuter buses, They have different schedules and everything. Would that be something possible to do? Because I noticed communicating by email and things like that.
Right. So as I understand it, it's a almost like a meeting board where people can share where they're going to and from, and then they get matched up with potential rides.
You know, if we threw it out there, the city wouldn't have to run it, but,
Yeah.
you know, have a suggestion.
I think it's a good suggestion, and in fact, we have tried it in the region in the past, and I'll have to check to see what the status of the program is, but we had a program called the Commuter Club, and so people would sign up and say where their commute begins and where it ends, and the concept was that they would get matched up with someone who wanted to take a similar mode. So I remember I signed up to bike from my house to City Hall here. In reality, I never did get matched up with anyone, but I think it's, you know, an idea that we can explore a little bit more.
I was just thinking because gas is not going to get cheaper. So, anything to do.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments for staff? All right. Now moving on to the last presentation tonight, item 6.2, Public Works Capital Improvement Projects for fiscal year 2023. Staff, can we have your presentation?
Good evening, Vice Chair Probst and members of the Commission. My name is Jason Shaikowski, and I'm your Public Works Director. It's my pleasure to present to you tonight some of the key capital improvement projects that Public Works plans to have under construction this year, as well as some of the projects planned for 2023. Leading off the presentation is the important resurfacing work being pursued out in Sun City. Last year, we completed the hatched area on the map on your screen, and this year we'll be moving on to the Phase 2A area outlined in yellow at the bottom right of the map. $150,000 worth of pedestrian ramp work in Phase 2A has already been completed, and we expect the contractor to begin work on the road resurfacing in July and be completed by the end of 2022. This phase of the project is estimated to cost $2.8 million and will be funded by state gas tax that you pay at the pump. Staff plans to complete Phase 2B in 2023 and Phase 3 in 2024. Another neighborhood receiving some long-awaited road maintenance this year is the Hillcrest neighborhood. Over the past couple of years, environmental utilities and public works staff upgraded old sidewalk, storm drain, water and wastewater facilities, all in preparation for this year's road rehabilitation. The estimated cost of this work is $2.5 million and will be funded by state gas tax you pay at the pump. Construction should start this summer and be finished by the end of the year. In addition to the Sun City and Hillcrest resurfacing previously mentioned, this summer, the city's contractor will finish up the $7 million federally funded arterial resurfacing project that they started last year. This includes all of the collector and arterial roads in blue on this map. Now, this map also shows Sun City and the Hillcrest neighborhoods, those tight grouping of blue streets. The ones on the streets that are more spread out, those are the ones part of this arterial project. Work on the arterial resurfacing project will continue through the summer. And I have one more resurfacing project for you this year. As I shared before, we only have about 2/3 of the funding we need to keep Roseville roads from falling apart over time. SB 1 passed by the state a few years ago helped out, but it only slowed the rate of decline. So this year, Council took some of the general fund surplus from fiscal year 21 and told us to fix some of the major roads that are in most need of repair. So this map represents $4.4 million in additional general fund resurfacing scheduled to begin this summer, designed to do just that. Moving away from resurfacing, Phase 1 of the Washington Andorra project started construction last year, and the contractor should finish up this spring. The $6 million project is constructing a continuous bike trail from All-America City Boulevard to Pleasant Grove Boulevard along Washington. It is also widening Washington between Sawtell and Caseburg to 4 lanes, installing a new traffic signal at Caseburg, and widening northbound Washington from just south of Diamond Oaks heading towards Pleasant Grove. So there'll be 2 lanes heading northbound instead of just 1. The project is funded with a mix of active transportation and congestion mitigation air quality grant funds, developer-paid traffic mitigation fees, and local transportation funds. Just south of the Andorra project is the much-anticipated Washington Boulevard at All America City Roundabout project, which is scheduled to begin construction later this year. The project will meet multiple needs in the area. It will provide a controlled intersection to help the expected increase in traffic from the grounds to safely exit All America City Boulevard. It will provide for the safe crossing of pedestrians between the east and west side of Washington Boulevard. It provides a connection for the Woodbridge Elementary School and the surrounding neighborhood to the new multi-use trail being constructed by the previously mentioned Andorra project. And it provides for the calming of traffic of vehicles entering the Old Town area from the higher speed Washington Boulevard Arterial to the north of the project. As the entrance to the Old Town area of Roseville, the project includes landscaping and a roundabout design feature paying homage to Roseville's tie to the railroad. The estimated construction cost is $4 million, with funding primarily coming from federal congestion mitigation air quality grants. And the final major CIP starting construction this year is the Roseville Parkway Extension Project. We hope to be out to bid soon with an early summer start date. Construction will likely continue into the summer of 2023. This project will provide for the 6th connection of East and West Roseville over the railroad tracks that bisect our city. Having another crossing of the tracks will measurably reduce volumes on Pleasant Grove and Blue Oaks and will likely have a positive impact on the other crossings as well. The project is not only designed to provide an aesthetically pleasing vehicle overcrossing of the railroad tracks, it will provide the first family-friendly multi-use trail crossing of the railroad in Roseville. Another such crossing is planned along Foothills Boulevard over the tracks with the future Dry Creek Greenway West multi-use trail project, which will run from Riverside Avenue to Cookriolo Road. The estimated cost of this project is $22 million and is funded through developer-paid traffic mitigation fees. Turning to next year, we expect to have 4 high-priority projects under construction in addition to more resurfacing projects. First, the Phase 1 of the Dry Creek Greenway Bike Trail project should begin next summer. The project will construct a bike trail from Riverside Darling to Rocky Ridge Drive along Linda and Dry Creeks. This $17 million project is primarily funded through several grants. The design is finishing up now, and staff is working on some small property acquisitions along the creek to allow us to weave the trail through the open space. Next is the widening of Pleasant Grove from 4 to 6 lanes between Foothills and Wood Creek Oaks. The design team is working on the plans and specifications with the hope of bidding the project next winter and constructing in the late spring of 2023. The project will expand the road into the median, adding a 3rd lane in each direction. The estimated cost is $7 million and is funded with developer-paid traffic mitigation fees. Public Works staff also has some vertical construction planned for 2023. Fire Station number 8 is currently under design and will be located on the southeast corner of Wood Creek Oaks and Painted Desert, which is south of Blue Oaks. The estimated project cost is $13 million and is funded by developer-paid fire facility fees. And the last project I want to mention tonight is the Roseville Parkway Widening project. This project will relieve daily congestion by widening Roseville Parkway in the vicinity of the Creekside Center, the Fountains, and the Galleria Mall from 3 lanes in each direction to 4 lanes in each direction, beginning at Creekside Ridge Drive and running through Gibson Drive. It will also add a 3rd left turn lane for traffic coming from Highway 65 on Pleasant Grove and turning left towards the regional shopping centers. The project is currently under design with a target 2024 construction season. The estimated cost is $8 million and is funded with Community Facility District funding and a smaller amount of developer-paid traffic mitigation fees. And that concludes this year's CIP presentation, and I'm available to answer any questions.
Thank you so much, Jason. Commissioners, are there any clarifying questions for staff at this time?
Yeah. Thank you. Jason, great presentation. I always love the presentation to see the construction projects and Roseville moving and growing. was curious about the Andorra Tunnel. I want to say that contractor did a terrific job working with the community. I was out there quite often, and they did a pretty darn good job of getting it done and not impeding too much of us citizens and businesses. The second phase is really, as we know, going to be the tough one. I didn't catch that because we got to work with the railroad, right? They say they work with us, but they're not always too good from my experience. And then we kind of have to plan, are we going to shut down Washington? Do we have a start date on that one? Are we, I don't think I caught it.
Yeah, no, I didn't mention phase 2 of the Andorra project. It's a $30 million project. We just do not have the funding right now. We've been applying for federal grants, state grants, unsuccessfully. We continue to look. We're actually, based upon the way things are currently politically, we really need to work with a regional partner and try to come up with some sort of a large regional project in order to get any funding. We're not receiving any local funding for smaller projects. So we're looking into that, trying to find the money. At this point, if we wait, it will be funded by traffic mitigation fees eventually, developer paid fees, but that probably won't happen until 2030 something before we have enough money for that, because we have some other projects we have to build. So we don't have a start date. We are working with the railroad. We have plans and we have environmental work done. We just need to find the money.
That would be a great earmark if we were successful in a transportation measure. But thank you. Yeah, because I knew we were excited to get that first phase done and now on with the difficult phase. But I had one other question. The Hillcrest neighborhood, I'm excited to see that get a little bit of a facelift. Did you guys assess, are we going to do a slurry seal on that one, or is it a grind and repave?
First, I just realized I forgot to mention your second part of your question about Andorra. The plan is to shut down Washington while we have to remove the railroad tracks. We have to build a berm, place temporary tracks, put the bridge in, move the trains back over to the bridge, remove the temporary berm. So yes, Washington will be closed for several months when we work on that project eventually. So just to answer that, that's what we're going to be doing. You'll still be able to access Caseburg and Diamond Oaks and all that stuff. So there'll be access on either side of the tracks, but the tracks will be a hard stop for a while.
Will the pedestrian tunnel be closed as well? I'm imagining it would be.
It will be eventually. That pedestrian tunnel will go away because we're moving the pedestrians and bikes next to the road with the future bridge we're putting in there.
Makes
and
sense.
so it'll be permanently closed at some point. And it'll have to be closed during construction as well because they'll be putting a berm across there for the temporary tracks. But now on to Hillcrest. Both. We're going to be doing some dig outs. Some of that road has to be dug out. We're lowering the crown. The road has kind of a crown, kind of a steep center.
Yeah.
So we got to grind that down in some places. And then we'll be doing a micro surfacing on it, which is a fancy word for a slurry seal. But so it'll all look uniform, but there's going to be both. Kind of like what we're doing out in Sun City right now. There's sections of Sun City, we're digging out and putting patches in. There's sections we're removing the whole road, putting back new road. And then when we're all done, everything gets sealed so it looks nice and uniform, doesn't look like a patchwork quilt, and keeps it in good shape for years to come.
Excellent. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Are there any other questions for staff?
I do. If the Washington Road was going to be closed for construction, does that mean that other roads will also be closed during the additional construction? Because I'd imagine that would cause more congestion in the roads if more roads are shut off to create more.
Yeah, no. So we have the plans have come along a long ways on Andorra Phase 2. We could probably start building that next year if we got money. So the plan is we have a detour plan in place. We actually have to make some modifications to like the intersection of Junction and Foothill in order to get all the vehicles that are going to be detouring through there at an acceptable level of service. We modeled it using a traffic model. So no, you're right. We can't close other roads when we're closing Washington. If we were to close Foothill or Pleasant Grove or Junction at the same time, it would be a disaster and people wouldn't be able to get anywhere. So yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right. We would not close any other roads while that's closed.
Thank you.
Okay, I would like to open the public comment period on this item and invite members of the public who wish to speak on this item to come forward and address the commission. Seeing that there's no one from the public wishing to speak to this item, I will now close the public comment period and we'll move on to commission and staff reports. Commissioners, do you have any information items to report? And I guess I'll start with you, Commissioner Groff.
Nothing.
Festerson?
No.
Husking? Nothing?
No, sir.
No.
Okay, I think that's no for me too, so. Oh, staff reports.
Yeah, we get our chance, right?
Absolutely. Just today, Mike.
Actually,
Just
you guys-
today.
I know. You guys are taking it easy on us, but I wanted to follow up on a couple of the items from last month's meeting because you did have a few questions then. So one of the questions, I think Commissioner Groff, you had asked about getting a little bit more information about the crossing guard training. And so I did get a little bit of follow-up information from that. The main training happens in the summer right before school. And it typically includes a police officer and someone from our engineering group along with our alternative transportation representative. And they go over some of the crossing guard guidelines that the state publishes through the Alternative Transportation Resource Center. They're given direction that they're not an enforcement body. They're not actually doing traffic control. So just kind of making sure that they stay within their crossing guard lane. And they're also given information about how to report issues. If they do see something come up, what should they do? We are considering first aid and CPR training, although that hasn't happened yet, but that's on our radar and we're looking for opportunities to accomplish that. And then we're also doing monthly training tips. So I think what's happening is Rebecca Espin-Shade from our staff will kind of look at crossing guard resources and find little training information that she can share with them on a monthly basis, and then as needed, additional training. So I just wanted to share that one with you.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. That's good information to have.
Yeah. And then somebody asked about our overhead chargers at the Galleria and whether vandalism could be an issue. Okay, Commissioner Probst, thank you. So we followed up with our electric bus company who also builds and installs chargers. They're called Proterra. They said they haven't had any issues with vandalism on their chargers. I think in that area, there is going to be a large pole-mounted charger and then some actual charging boxes. So, we could anticipate maybe graffiti or other items that we will take care of quickly like we do with other graffiti throughout the city. But they haven't seen any issues with vandalism associated with that.
Thank you.
And then, let's see. I think Commissioner Loricia, you asked about Los Rica, sorry.
Okay.
You asked about safety on the buses for youth, and one of the things that we talked with our group about that, and we just one of the tools that the drivers have is that they have radios where they can contact dispatch immediately if issues come up. They're also trained in how to resolve disputes, and so if there is something that comes up on the bus, they can help intervene to the extent they can, but they do have dispatch as a resource. We also have video cameras on all of our buses, so those don't help immediately, but they do help with after-the-fact enforcement if anything came up. With that said, we rarely have issues on the bus, but we do have some resources for that. And boy, I think I have two other items if you got a minute. So you guys were busy last month. One was Commissioner Husking. You asked about Oak Ridge, and we got information from the traffic engineering group. They completed a speed study last summer, and they found that speeds were down a little bit from the two prior studies. And they had an average speed of 23 miles per hour on Oak Ridge and an 85th speed of 30 miles per hour, which is typical for a street like that. Jason, I'm not sure if that means that the posted speed limit's 30? Is that how that works? Or
Well, it could be 25 still. If it was, 85th is 30 miles an hour, they can lower it 5 miles an hour for driveways and such,
okay.
for California law.
So, okay, so the traffic engineering decided they're going to follow up again this summer, do another speed survey, see what the results are. And in the meantime, they've asked police department to put a speed feedback sign out at the site, which I think you may have shared that you saw that last time. If not, that will go out soon, and they are going to see if they can do some targeted enforcement. So,
Thank you.
all right. Then last but not least, Laney sent out a survey for an April caravan, which would be considered an April bus tour. It would be considered a official meeting of the Transportation Commission if we do that. So there would be an actual agenda posted, and the public would be invited to attend, actually. So we'd have to make room for them if anyone wanted to attend. I think you sent out like a when is good or a doodle poll, and we didn't get a date selected that worked for everyone. So Laney's going to try another doodle poll in May. Be on the lookout for that, and please let us know if we can find a date for that. So the poll will go out right away for a date in May. Okay? That's all I've got.
Good job, Mike.
And are there any other reports or items from staff? Okay. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We have a motion from Commissioner Huskins. Do we have a second?
I'll have a second there.
Commissioner Festerson has a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Meeting is adjourned.